Okay, just like always, recapping after watching the tape from Saturday night. Bottom line, really pleased to win a game on the road. Not easy to do. I thought our guys, battled back and forth throughout the game, which we know these games are going to be about that. Offensively, obviously a lot to like. Balance, execution. Passing game, DJ and those guys, receivers making plays. And needed to respond multiple times especially the second half, and we're able to get that done defensively. Got some things to clean up. Played a quarterback that we hadn't seen on tape who played really well. Credit to him. They ran the ball, which we went in with some spots that guys needed to step up. Started a couple of new corners who actually played really, really well. But when you try to protect those guys at times, you're susceptible to the run game, but not nearly. We didn't think. Giving up that many yards in the rush game is not what we want to be about, so we got some things to clean up there. Found a way, I will say, defensively, get a couple turnovers that separated the game kind of in the third quarter, early fourth. Special teams-wise, kickoff return was huge. Some of that field position we started offensively with made a huge difference. Had the aggressive call on the kickoff part on the onside that didn't go our way, and, need to be able to respond. Strategically, we thought we had a chance on some of that, but we didn't execute it well. Give them some credit not falling asleep on that. So there's some things, just like always. You can watch this tape. We got back in yesterday. These guys, sticking to a process we want to correct and improve after a game, and we're trying to do the same thing because we're going to need to. Again, got a big-time opponent coming in here to Research Stadium, UCLA. Coach Kelly, been doing it at a high level for a long time. A dominant defense as you look at these guys on tape. And so that'll be a serious, serious challenge, which we're going to need to play well to win, and counting on Beaver Nation showing up again at home because we're going to need it. This place needs to be rocking at 5 for us to have our best effort. Going to lean on the crowd quite a bit in this one.
Coach, when you looked at DJ, maybe look at the film afterwards, was there anything significantly that he did better or anything that stood out over say, his first 5 games? Because he was just, so on point.
Yeah, I think his accuracy stood out. Guys were open. He's going to the right spots and hitting guys, not just like completing the pass, but hitting them in stride. You see some of the catches and the yards gained after it. Think about those 2 third-down throws to Anthony Gould, how accurate those were down the field, and making big-time plays there. But he was in a nice rhythm, confident. He played really good football.
And kind of looking ahead to UCLA, you said dominant defense. I don't know how much you've dug into them, but what makes them so tough, and how would you describe that challenge ahead?
Yeah, I think it's become big picture stands out. Long, athletic, their ability on the edge to affect the passer. As good a pass rushers as we've seen. New scheme this year in regards to their defensive coordinator, and so that's a new on people. But they play sound. They can run. They're big up front. You look at their interior D line, got some size and strength to them. Length in the secondary. It's impressive to watch.
500 yards of offense last week against Cal through 6 games for you guys offensively. Do you feel like this is where you want this offense to be at this point of the season, or do you see points where there's still improvement that can be made right now?
Yeah, definitely still see some improvement to be made. Every game's going to be different and how it's going and all of that. Off of last week, they had the balance effective in the passing game. We want to be able to do that. I still think we ran the ball solid, and we're going to need to sustain. I think of it this way: is like, okay, we're halfway point of the year. That's a lot of tape. That's 6 games. You're showing tendencies, flaws, how people want to attack you. We got to stay on the learning curve of that, along with your opponent, so we can keep this balance going.
What are you liking most about this offense right now, though?
I think we make it physical. I think the run game protection, like that a lot. I think I like, you watch Fenwick and Damian, the way they're carrying the ball. I think we've shown now with Silas had some multiple good games. Ant has the huge game last week. We've got some threats on the outside. I like the decision-making command that DJ plays with. And, again, when we're accurate and explosive, we're tough to defend.
Speaking of DJ, obviously 5 touchdowns against Cal, the first time since Jake Loon had done that in 2019. What similarities do you see from DJ's game and Jake's game where he's kind of helped elevate the passing game for you guys and give you guys more explosiveness in the offensive game?
You know, I think he throws 5 touchdowns. We got some tight touchdown throws. We didn't get down there, big sets, right, play action pass, and he's got Velling open, and so that helps your touchdown ratio. Again, I go back to those third down throws that got executed to continue drives, which is great plays by the quarterback and receiver. Again, I go to the fourth down thing, him finishing on the fourth down on a run that was a huge play, really twice converting on fourth down.
I know that last week, obviously, probably the one negative side effect was obviously what Cal was able to do in the rushing game, and you touched on that. After the game, Isaac said that he felt that the defense just made too many mistakes that kind of allowed them to have the amount of rushing yards that they did. After watching the film and the tape, do you feel like that was the case, that it was just the mistakes that led to that, or give credit to Cal's offense and what they were able to do to kind of confuse the defense?
Yep, a few things. Mistakes led to explosive runs, no question. We're not in the B gap we should be. It turns into explosive. I think that was compounded by they were tough to tackle. We didn't tackle well enough. And then for sure, credit to Cal. I mean, Ott's a good player, but 22 is as good as anything. He is tough to bring down. So combined, all of that led to too many rushing yards.
This is good, yeah. When you look at Isaac and his move to fullback, can you lead us through that process, how that came to be, and just what do you like about what he brings there?
Yeah, we used fullback last year with Coletto, and we just didn't want to just stop having that package, and so put some thought into kind of who could do it. We actually dabbled with Hodge a little bit, like on goal line in previous years, and so wanted to continue the package, dabbled with it a little in the spring and then fall camp, thinking, you know, short yardage, he could at least do that, and it's kind of grown to being able to get in the game, and I think he's effective. Obviously physical, but you got to have some niftiness, athleticism doing that position, and he showed he's been able to do it, and we want to keep it rolling.
Obviously, he has the genes for the position.
Well, catching it, yeah.
When you approached him, was he like, let's do this? Like, what was that conversation
Yeah,
like?
totally about it. All these guys on defense want to have a touch of offense, and so, yeah, he was all about it. You know, Dad played similar position, and so he's run with it.
A couple injury updates, perhaps, with Robinson, Cooper, and I don't know, DJ's hand or anything else.
Right. Both Robinson and Cooper, we'll see. We're hopeful they can get close by the end of the week. Coop actually was close in pregame, and that was the thinking. Like, did he feel good enough? He just didn't. And so we're hoping for progression on those two guys. DJ's fine. Haven't heard anything there. So nothing major coming out of that game.
Decide to use an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman for plays like that, do you put all of them through this tryout to see who has the best hands?
Oh, well, not all of them, no. We don't. A guy or two, again, with Hodge having the experience of playing more and more fullback, we've had that play in for a couple of weeks. It just, finally got called.
On UCLA's offense as you prepare, how much has Chip Kelly's offense changed in the last 15 years?
Well, he's always evolving, but it still comes back. They're going to run the ball, and he's done a great job with that. Watching him on tape week in and week out, he's got new wrinkles, new concepts. The pace doesn't change. I mean, these guys have played with pace for years. He might have been the innovator of going fast, and so that hasn't changed. They got that a part of the package. It's tough. He's going to game plan you. He's going to throw you some new wrinkles formationally, what the action in the backfield is, unbalanced. It's tough to defend.
Coach, the touchdown that Aiden threw, in terms of the protection, his patience, all of that, how did you evaluate that play?
Yeah, really good job. He's got an option of, depending on coverage, to work one side or the other. Confirm things post-snap that he needed to be into the boundary and working that against the coverage. I did think he showed a little poise because it took Silas a minute. We're kind of switch releasing Silas and Jermaine on the route, and threw an accurate ball in the corner of the end zone right as he's coming out his break.
Coach, I want to go back to Isaac really quick. After the game, he described his hands as perfect hands, 2 for 2. Do you believe in that sentiment? Do you think he might have the best hands potentially on this team?
Yeah, we're not ready to put him in on hands team at the end of the game. He's got good hands. He takes some pride in it. He works at it because it's not always going to be a perfect throw. Those things can be delicate, especially on the type of routes we're going to ask him to run. So we're pleased, but I'm not ready to call him the best hands on the team.
I want to go back to this UCLA matchup. Dante Moore obviously has been pretty prolific for UCLA, but still a little bit raw. Obviously, he's still finding his game. How do you plan to try and take advantage of a quarterback that's still trying to gain and learn this experience on the field to where, again, it gives you guys the best chance to maybe throw him out of his comfort zone since he's still learning right now what this college speed is like?
Outside of just this weekend, you're always trying to make the quarterback uncomfortable, move him out of the pocket or keep him in it, get him off his timing. I think, the experience he's had, he's put it on tape. He's got good arm talent. They've got him in good situations with the run game. They got some players on the outside. And so, we're always trying to make it difficult on every quarterback we play. And that'll be no different this Saturday.
When you look at your defense and just how it's performed on the road so far, kind of, Wazoo and obviously the other day a little less than desired. Like, do you look at that as a larger issue, or do you just kind of tackle it bit by bit and kind of evaluate it there?
It's week to week. We have not, back-to-back road games played below the standard defensively. Those guys are aware of it. They understand that, we've got a next opportunity in front of us. Each of these games, it's going to be a little bit different. The style you're playing, some of these things are bang plays. But we want to play better than we did last week defensively, and I know these guys will be excited about this new challenge.
It seems to me that just parity in general in college football is pretty big right now. I guess, could you speak to that? And then also, like, how would you evaluate the role that the portal and NIL has played in that? It kind of opens things up a bit,
Yeah. There's a lot there in that question. I do think there's parity. I think you got to play really, really well week in and week out to get wins on Saturdays because these games are tight. I think the ability for programs to flip quicker because of the portal. You got more talent, maybe more experience getting because you can go in the portal and get experienced players right away. So it's a challenge. I look at parity. We got 3 common opponents here with UCLA: San Diego State, Washington State, Utah. Very similar in regards to that, the styles of the games, the scores. So there's parity across. I know in this league, going week in and week out.
Yeah, and specifically at quarterback, it seems like half the league, if not more, has a transfer starting at quarterback and a good one. Have you ever seen that much, transfer or?
Right.
Transformation.
Not as well. It's still somewhat new, but there are transfer quarterbacks in this league playing at a high level. I look at UCLA; they've taken huge advantage of the portal. You look at some of their top players; they're started at other places, and so it can be a huge advantage.
And as a coach, how do you approach that? Some guys are meant for some programs, and some for. Is there like a process you go through and?
Well, it starts on your own roster of what kind of need based, but then you're looking for guys that fit your program, maybe a new opportunity. Obviously, they're looking for a new opportunity if they're in the portal, and it's one way to, bring guys to your roster.
Coach, when Chip Kelly burst onto the scene 15 years ago with the Ducks, and they were running the wizardry of the read option, and it was a lot of carries by the quarterbacks. You don't see it as much anymore. And it is successful when it's used because no one's ready for it. Did the defenses catch up to that kind of offense? Is that why it's gone, or was it too many quarterbacks were getting hurt?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. There's no question when Chip started this thing, the wizardry, as you described it, with the quarterback pulling it, but then you add that he was playing with such pace. Both those things were pretty new, and it was just so prolific. I think the thing is cyclical in college football. Defenses adapt. And then, the quarterback's position itself is vitally important to keep those guys healthy, so maybe that added to less of the quarterback running with it.
Coach, you mentioned the defensive schematic change for UCLA. They hired a guy who'd been in the NFL, and D'Anton Lynn. Are there concepts at that level? You see some NFL kinds of things that have made UCLA maybe take a jump here this year?
I'm sure there's some NFL concepts that he's running. I'm just not the expert on the NFL schematically to be able to say 100%. He's got those guys playing at a high level, sound, make it difficult on the offense. We've got, 5 games of tape now on them, and that's what we're really studying.
Your own guys starting, Noble and Jermod.
Yeah.
How did you feel they held up when you look back at it?
Both those guys played really well for, again, early. Noble had played some, and Jamad too at the same time, but Jamad getting his more or less first full start playing time. They got a good receiver over there, number 3, Hunter, I thought he went toe-to-toe with. So we were pleased with those two guys after watching the tape.
And on offense, at one point, you had kind of a makeshift group with Jake out, and you got Bolton playing and Stark. By the way, how's Taliesin? Do you expect him to be able to go? And then how did you feel the O-line with different guys being shuttled in perform?
Yeah, I thought that was huge for, especially Grant to get out there and play a bunch at right tackle. Bolton, like you said, got in the mix with 11 good for a short amount of time, and we need that next man up. Tolly, we don't see that as a long-term thing at all, so we're hopeful for this weekend. Thanks.